Hello again, beautiful beings. Welcome back. I've got a brand new face today. It's much better than last time, and I was so amazed and pleasantly surprised with the healing process and how quickly, 7 days later, 5 days later, it was back to normal, actually, brand new. So that was incredible. Today we've got tons of content to overview. We are talking about a little bit of everything. The sun is shining through. I just want to first start off and say thank you to all of my members. I always love chatting with you before the live video, and then of course I get distracted and then I have to jump in. But I love, hearing where all of you are from and the updates of your life and all of that great stuff. So thank you, members, for being here. I also want to say, too, thank you, members, for supporting me and allowing me to produce free content, right? The membership program allows me to not have to take one-on-one sessions, even though I know that's kind of heartbreaking for a lot of you. But that frees up my time and energy so that I can put more out there and give more content than ever before. And then also, if you haven't already subscribed, which I think most of you have, definitely subscribe to the channel and then share this video. It is only going to be up for 24 hours, and then it's going to be members only. And and then super chats. All of you, no matter if you're a member or not, can super chat if this content resonates with you. Super chats are always super appreciated. If not, I love just having you here, and your presence is a present enough. All right, so I just want to start off by saying that there have been major upgrades hitting all of us at this time, really leading up to, this new energy, this new year. It's just, and I mean, the election is right around the corner. It's getting intense. And thank you so much, Corinne, for that super chat. So the symptoms, the awakening symptoms, are still in full force, guys. Things like exhaustion, headaches, fogginess, heaviness, confusion, other things like panic and anxiety attacks. I felt like I couldn't catch my breath last night. And very vivid dreams that maybe don't always make, a whole lot of sense. Thank you, Elijah, for that super chat. And what else? What are the other symptoms? Major downloads. So I don't know about you guys. Has anyone else been having really long conversations with their loved ones? Hopefully you have that support in your own life. A lot of breakthroughs, a lot of aha moments, a lot of realizing who you are as a person, a lot of being forced to take responsibilities for your actions and what you're manifesting and creating. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. And so it's so funny. I have a shift masterclass student, and she's getting one-on-one sessions with me, and she's like the last one that I took on. And literally, I was like, oh my goodness, like, has it really only been a week since I've seen you last? Because it felt like a month, and I literally had to check my schedule and make sure that it really has only been a week. And I asked myself, why does it feel like it's been so long? Why does it feel like it's been a freaking month? And it's because so many downloads, so many realizations, so many breakthroughs came through that the more that you're learning, the more that you're processing, the more that you're downloading, the slower time is going to feel. Oddly enough, time slows down when you're in the middle of also kind of like an activation, right? It's really wild. And the reason why is because in 1 minute, you can get in several lifetimes of information and content, whereas sometimes we're just going so fast through the motions, time is just speeding up. And it feels like 1 week was actually, or 1 month was actually 1 week, right? It's really wild. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Stephanie, for those super chats. So it's so weird. Huge downloads, huge upgrades. For the most part, if you've done a lot of the deep inner child and inner shadow work, then the upgrades are not going to feel as as difficult as they would have before. There's a lot of light shining on my face right now, but that's fine. So yeah, if you've done a lot of that work, they should be a lot smoother. The other thing that you should be finding right now at this time, or feeling right now at this time, is manifestation. Thank you, Mariska. Anyone else like literally talking about something and it instantly being manifested? It's really wild how quickly things are going right now. So half the time it feels like time is slowing down because we're getting so much into our systems. The other half the time it feels like time is speeding up because we're manifesting so rapidly. If you haven't done years of work, like I only have myself to compare and my wife really, if you haven't done years of work, then it's probably hitting you really hard. You're probably moving through a lot of density right now, and I just got chills. Your loved ones, your friends, your family members who are stuck in 3D, they're going to be forced to confront an ego death. And we're going to actually talk about that because someone asked me about what happens to people who are stuck in 3D. So I just wanted to kind of mention the downloads and the activations. I know a lot of the members were mentioning in the comments section before the video the downloads and activations. Hi, Andrea. Thank you for signing up and being a member. I also had a bit of a realization. Thank you, Sherry, as always. You're such a huge support. Yeah, a huge realization last night when I was reading over all your questions. So I was reading over your questions and I was watching a documentary on the minimum wage in America and, you know, just how brutal it is. Like, I'm Canadian. I didn't grow up here, so I don't know a whole lot about just the politics, you know. I know high-level politics in America because that's what I studied in university, but I didn't know that 15 states have a minimum wage of $2.50 because they rely off of tipping. It really blows my mind. So anyway, so I was watching this documentary, I was reading over your questions, and in my mind I thought to myself, I need to change the documentary because it's too low vibe. And then I had this message come through, obviously from my higher self. And the message that came through was, we can't shy away from the truth, especially since a lot of the truth in this third dimension reality is low vibrational. We can't shy away from it just because it's in a lower vibration. We need to continue to experience and appreciate both aspects of this reality, both low vibration and high vibration. Thank you, Jeremy. That's a very generous super chat, and I really appreciate it. And you are also such a huge support. So please, guys, do not remove yourself from the third dimension reality just because you denote it as low vibrational. And that's what I did. That's what my human did last night. Oh, don't want to watch this. It's too low vibrational. That's called bypassing, right? And we cannot fully step into our power and we cannot fully step into our mastery if we bypass this third dimension reality by saying, oh, it's too low vibe, don't deal with it. So, you know, I'm just mentioning this because this is an experience that I had last night. And it, you know, allowed me to have that realization of we have to confront it. We have to transmute it. Right? And we're going to talk about that as well today. All right. So many good questions today. And actually, this ties into the very first question that we have here. And also for brand new members or for members who don't know, because I know that there are members who don't ask questions. If you think that there are questions that you really want the answers to, I bet you there's tons of other people who also want those answers too. So what I recommend is check out the community section of YouTube, and every Friday we post a Q&A post. Sometimes it's specific to a topic, sometimes it's open-ended. You can write in your question there, and if it's not answered, write it again the next week. And then your fellow community of members will also all upvote on what questions they want to have answered. So it's a very democratic system, and it really feels right. Okay, so the first question here is from Cryptodomi. What is your opinion on enjoying media that we know is made by or involves nefarious people? For example, watching Disney movies, because you grew up with them, but now you know that there are things like subliminal sexual messaging, or movies that have celebrities who are definitely pedos, like Toy Story? Great question. I think a lot of, especially parents, probably question this of, Disney movies, they're so amazing, but at the same time, there's some underlying nefarious things going on. And in our entire existence of reality, there are some underlying nefarious things going on, right? So ultimately, it's always up to you guys. It's always up to your own, awareness and discernment and free will to choose what feels best for you. But here's my perspective on it. We cannot, once again, related to the download that I had last night, we cannot shy away from this reality just because it has underlying low vibrational frequencies associated to it. Imagine us dealing with and shying away from the biggest and number one nefarious control system in this reality. Money. Oh, screw that. Nope, it's definitely controlled by the elite. It definitely was started by the elite. It's definitely a control system, and we can all agree that money and the financial system is a control system. So what are you going to do? Are you going to be homeless on the street because you're rising up against the control system? That's not how to fight the low vibrational system. That's not how to fight the elite. How we can fight the elite is from going within, is from expanding your consciousness, is from educating yourself, is from raising your vibration above and beyond the control system that they have implanted here on this planet. That, my friends, is how you fight the system, right? Picketing and rioting and resenting and walking away from the system is not how we fight the system. Okay, so now when we go to specific examples like watching Disney movies. First of all, I freaking love Disney movies. My inner child loves that stuff and loves Lego and slime and you name it. It's really funny, but really awesome. You transmute it. Transmute the energy. Don't allow that vibration to get you down. And it was so beautiful yesterday, I believe. No, Friday. I'm like, what day is it? Friday. I had an incredible divine feminine panel roundtable sort of thing with Laura Eisenhower and Michelle Anderson. Just a really great time. Yeah, we had a blast. That's going to be released on Disclosure Fest or with Disclosure Fest. And then I'm also speaking all this week at Portal to Ascension. So I've got 2 huge conferences that I'm speaking at. Disclosure Fest, I have that panel with Laura Eisenhower. And then, and then Portal to Ascension, I have 2 panels and 1 lecture, which is so beautiful. And that's all happening for free. Both of them are free or donation. I think it's beautiful what they're doing. And that's all happening Thursday, Friday. So I'll kind of give you more posts about that as well. Definitely check out my Instagram if you want links and swipe ups and updates on that. Anyway, so Laura said something really interesting, and she said that there's this huge dark stain, this ugly dark stain on her carpet. And every time she looked at it, she was reminded of that stain or whatever caused that stain or what have you. And then she said, you know what? I actually added to the stain and I created a beautiful flower out of that stain. And all of a sudden, I transmuted the vibration that I had behind it. And I mean, I do that in my own life, but that example is so prime, right? So yes, we understand that there are nefarious agendas playing into every facet of this society, but the more that you play into those nefarious agendas, the more that you are allowing those agendas to lower your vibration. All right? Just raising the vibration, transmuting the vibration of what is around you. Great question. Thank you so much. Okay, Aaliyah. Okay, the power and importance of sound frequency, both audible and subliminal, has been so obvious lately. Do you have any information about the solfeggio? I'm probably butchering that. Frequencies, in particular, 528 hertz, has the power Has the power of this frequency been silenced and hidden from humans? How has the present day corporate music industry used sound to manipulate the masses, distract the people from waking up, and suppress our powers? And then she also goes on to say, there's a theory that John Lennon was assassinated because the song Imagine was tuned into 528 hertz and he knew the power of it as a tool for collective awakening and balance. Awesome. That was a lot, but that was awesome. So I don't really know what the solfeggio frequencies are, but I definitely know what 528 hertz is. And I understand it as the love frequency. And the higher heart chakra, and it's meant to vibrate us into full alignment, which is very, very powerful. We need to realize that when taking a look into quantum physics and when I start experiencing the reality around me in full flow, in full wave form, because I take myself away from being the observer and I am above the observer state, and therefore I get to experience this reality as a wave state. You know, when you're in that place, you fully experience this reality and every physical aspect of this reality as a frequency, right? Light is a frequency. Sound is a frequency. Atoms hold a frequency. Your thoughts hold a frequency. Your words hold a frequency. Food holds a frequency. Water holds a frequency. Everything is a frequency, right? It is way underplayed right now, way undervalued, what frequency really is and what it can do for us. So things like binaural beats and frequency machines are all going to be really, really, really prevalent moving forward. That is going to be the next stage of healing, is frequency machines. That is what all of these interdimensional beings use on all of these intergalactic spaceships, is frequency machines. They understand that everything is a frequency, so they just tune certain things into frequencies. So I don't know too much about, other than, 528 hertz is really powerful. And I do recommend that you, YouTube different frequencies or sounds or melodies or, playlists that are 528 hertz. And I remember in university, I took a music class. I figured it was going to be an easy A, and it wasn't. I'm so musically challenged. Yeah, so funny. So anyway, and so I remember them teaching us that I think back in the 1940s, they ended up changing all of the radio frequencies to slightly off. I don't know if it was originally 528 hertz or something else that was more harmonically sound and aligned, and then they changed all of the radio frequencies. And yes, that is a nefarious agenda to lower our vibration, but this information is being disseminated and we can free ourselves and find the truth within that. So thank you so much for that beautiful question. All right, we have a new member here asking a question. Jada Wada, hopefully I'm saying that right, Jada Wada. Dear EA, I would love to know what we are doing in the astral realm when we are sleepwalking. Is that a symptom of alien abduction? And are they fixing us? Good question. So when I was a kid, I used to sleepwalk all the time, like literally sleepwalk right out the front door. So they had to, make sure that they locked it and stuff like that. And yeah, so what I understand sleepwalking as is honestly just, there is like a mechanism in our body at a scientific level that actually blocks us from moving our body with our dreams. Now, the interesting part is that REM sleep, REM sleep, is actually called rapid eye movement sleep, right? So the coolest part is that this mechanism that blocks our body from walking and actually moving and yelling and all of those things that we're dreaming of, it cannot block our eyes from moving. So when you see your dog, when you see your cat, when you see your loved one, when you see your child, and they're sleeping and you can see their eyes darting back and forth, it's a pretty good indication that they're in the middle of a dream in that moment. Now, same thing with me, when I astral travel and remote view and I'm talking to interdimensionals, I'll close my eyes, and if I'm looking around, you can actually see my eyes looking around, when my eyes are closed. Super interesting. So no, I don't believe that sleepwalking is directly related to alien abductions. But I do want to actually talk a little bit about the symptoms of an alien abduction, just because you bring it up, and I think it's a perfect time to do so. Yeah, there's so many symptoms, just like the awakening. There's so many symptoms of an alien abduction. Obviously, the most obvious symptoms of an alien abduction are like weird markings on the body, lines and things like that. Or like it almost looks like red imprints. Sometimes it's a triangle. I remember when I was about 13, I was abducted and I woke up with, it almost looked like a snake bite on my tongue. It was 2 dots that penetrated into my tongue. Later in regression, I realized that that was a machine that they used to monitor my body, right? Like a biometrics machine. Anyway, so the markings are some of the most obvious signs and symptoms, but right after, the morning after an abduction, you're gonna feel it's weird. And it also feels violating. Like whether it be the most beautiful abduction of your entire existence or not, if you can't remember it, it feels violating. Just the other day, our car got broken into in the underground garage, and it felt violating that someone else was like sitting in the car and their energy was there. It feels violating, right? You just don't know what happened. And that's totally normal and natural. So yeah, so typically you wake up and immediately something is different. Immediately something is off, right? It's not, something happened basically. Deep down Just like having a glitch in the matrix or a Mandela effect, like something is off, something is weird. You have to listen to that intuition when that happens. It also feels like you got drugged. Like that's what I've felt when I wake up from an abduction. It's like you just feel so tired and drained and exhausted and like heavy, like your body just feels heavy. Sometimes your mind feels very clouded as well, in general. And what are some other sometimes you feel like you're being watched after an abduction, because sometimes if they do chip you, you do feel like they're watching you and following you. That's what I felt in one of my abduction experiences. And then what are the other symptoms? Oh yeah, other symptoms are you freaking wake up. I mean, all of your psychic and spiritual abilities start to come online, whether it's a very low vibrational, fear-based, nefarious abduction, or it's a very high vibrational, amazing, loving abduction. That experience at a soul level alone is going to take you to the next vibrational level. You know what I mean? Just at a deeper subconscious level, it's like, holy shit, aliens exist. What else is possible? And then you wake up. So, so hopefully that kind of answers your question. But good. I'm glad that we got to talk about alien abductions a little bit here too. Okay, so Carson Flowers, can you talk about blood types? I've heard that different blood types, AB, O positive and negative, as well as RH negative, mean you have blood from a certain alien species, such as Palladian, Sirian, and Draconian. Absolutely. I want to absolutely agree and concur that different blood types are directly related to different species and different interdimensional lineages, without a doubt. Without a doubt. But I have not yet looked into this. I have not yet sat down and connected, what species goes with what blood type. So I don't really have too much information on that. And someone else mentioned that just a couple weeks ago as well. Once again, I don't have all the information on that. But good question. All right, Princess Leah. Hi, EA. Okay, this is a really trippy question. Is it possible for your next life to actually be in the past, like the 1400s, for example? And how would that influence the future? Got to get some coffee for this. Isn't he cute? Okay. The short answer of, is it possible for your next life to technically be in the past? The short answer to that is yes, it is possible for your next life to be in the past. It doesn't happen often at all, but it is possible. If, say, for example, your next life was going into the 1400s, how does that influence the future? That can influence your individual experience because it allows you to learn certain lessons that you needed to learn in the 1400s. But as far as influencing and impacting the collective in the now moment and in the next now moment and the future moment, it can't. Okay? Yeah, it's difficult. Basically, we would go into a lot of paradoxes if we try and override the flow or the natural progression of this current state of reality. And I'm going to leave it there. But yeah, I'm just going to leave it there for now. But the short answer is yes, we can hop around, and it's pretty wild when we do that. Okay, so we've got Marguerite Martini, love the name. Hi EA, can you tell us more about the portal opening December 21st? What will it look like? How are we able to shift to the fifth dimension and anchor it in? And will this be a conscious process? Fantastic. Yeah, so I mentioned a little bit, I tapped into it last time and basically just kind of saw that December 21st is going to be some sort of huge portal opening and activations, and that it's going to allow a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us to ascend and to step into 5D frequency. This is not a portal that we are going to be able to see. Maybe if you're sitting in meditation, you'll be able to kind of see that and step into it. But this is an energetic thing, okay? And for most people around the world, they're not even gonna know what the difference is. Maybe they're having a particularly hard time that week. But we're gonna feel this buildup. If anything, you probably already feel this buildup right now in your life. I don't know about you guys, but I've been feeling like, I don't know, it feels like this huge bubble that's just building and building and building, and it feels like it's leading up to something and it's about to burst, and it's like, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's almost like the feeling that I get right before stepping on stage for a lecture or a conference or a speaking engagement. It's this buildup of something's gonna happen, you know, how is it gonna go, right? So deep down at a subconscious level, you're probably already feeling this energetic buildup, right? And that's totally normal. And it's building up to December 21st, 2020. Now, if you guys know a little bit about my story, you'll know that one of my first huge introductions to the Galactic Federation was on December 21st, what was it, 2011? Yeah, right before 2012. So this is a very clearly significant date. Let me just ask, whether it be asking the universe or asking the GFL or asking my higher self, let me just ask what else we need to do for December 21st, what else we need to know for December 21st. It is wildly going to be impactful. I know that a couple of channelers have reached out to me to say that they believe that there's going to be a cosmic event happening on December 21st, like a planetary alignment, which coincides with the portal opening. But also I've heard from other channelers as well that they believe that there is going to be a solar flare or some sort of other cosmic radiation wave happening at that time. Years ago, the GFL told me that the solar flare was going to happen in 2021, so I'm not sure about that. Let's just see if we can just grab any other information that is there for us. So 1 second. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. So once again, I see this huge, like, it almost looks like a flash of white light happening on December 21st. I don't know what time, I don't know particularly when on that date. They mentioned a couple of things. I was talking to the Palladian Security Council. They said, make sure that you prepare your vibration, make sure that you're in a very calm, objective place. Make sure that you're meditating, make sure that you're centered, make sure that you're sitting in that 0 point neutrality frequency. They also mentioned something that I found very interesting. They said that, okay, they said that quarantine is happening at this time for a reason, for many reasons, and we've talked about a couple of those. Quarantine is happening at this time for many reasons, and one of them is so that we don't have the same sort of Christmas celebrations that we have had in the past. Now, personally, it makes a lot of sense because I'm not able to go back home to Canada, and with my wife this Christmas. And I was telling my wife, I'm like, I'm 28 and this is the first year I haven't been with family for Christmas. And I was thinking maybe, going over to my dad's place in Nevada. Now hearing this message from the GFL and them saying that it's like Christmas and the whole, the act of Christmas, the whole, I don't even know, like the projection of Christmas, this whole thing of just buying more shit, right? Which is Christmas. It's a huge distraction mechanism to distract people from this very significant date of December 21st. And they were telling me that December 21st is a very significant date and it always has been every year, but it's been shrouded by the chaos and potentially greediness or whatever of the energy of Christmas. And then they were mentioning, this is wild. So Christmas technically is, I'm such a bad Catholic, right? I mean, what is it? It's like the birth of Jesus, I believe. I like blanked all of that stuff out from childhood. Yeah, and so they were saying that there was this, they weren't very clear about it. They were saying that there's this huge completion that is happening right now at this time, and we might even want to go back to the 26,000 year cycle of the Mayan calendar and those kind of things, but there's this huge completion happening with, yeah, that's what it is. It's Christ consciousness. It's what Jesus, this ascended, beautiful ascended master being, and I want to do a video on him soon because he keeps coming into my vibration, but he's this beautiful ascended master being that all he wanted to do was bring in this high vibrational frequency of love, of Christ consciousness. And unfortunately, even when he was alive, it all got really effed up, right? It got messed up. And yeah, so it's really beautiful and interesting. So now they're saying that there's this huge completion, this cycle completion that's happening this year, 2020, with the frequency of Jesus and Christ consciousness, and then moving into the age of Aquarius. So let me just ask them one more question. Like, what do we need to, like, okay, so, 0 point frequency, don't distract yourself, don't get caught up in Christmas things. Very clear. I don't know, like, is there anything else we need to know? I just feel like there's so much more there, but yeah, 1 second. Okay. One more thing, and then they're being kind of coy on the rest of it. They said that before December 21st, 2020, set your intentions for what it is that you want to create, right? So if you've been listening to my podcast, you know that I've been putting out a lot of information as far as saying yes and yes, you can have it all. Play the game until you can't, right? These are all things that I've been mentioning in my podcast. If you haven't seen my podcast, check it out. It's called Expand, and you'll find it on all the platforms. So what we've been doing at a human individual level, I've been doing this, I'm sure you guys have all been doing this. You have been playing the game on both sides. Should I leave my husband? Should I move my house? Should I have a baby? Should I get a dog? Should I change my job? Should I create my own business? A lot of you at this time in 2020 are making huge decisions that are about to change your life. Now, because you know that these decisions are going to change your life, you've been playing both sides. You know what? There is a reality where I leave my husband, and there's a reality where I stay. Let's just feel them both out, right? For me, there is a reality where I go mainstream and I get my own TV show, and there's a reality where I don't. Let's play them both out. And you manifest opportunities on both ends of what you are playing with, on the fence that you are sitting on, right? But there's a certain point in time where you can no longer play the game on both sides. What I encourage all of you to do before December 1st, 2020, is to choose a side that you want to be on, right? And we talk about polarity and unity. And potentially the side that you choose, depending on what you're struggling with and dealing with, the side that you choose could be both sides. So say, for example, you're like, oh, well, my limiting belief is I need to sacrifice happiness for abundance. And I'm playing both sides. I'm playing the sacrifice side and I'm playing the abundance side. You need to make a realization that you can have it both ways. If you're playing with, should I leave, should I move? Should I not move? Should I leave my husband? Should I not leave my husband? Right? Then you need to ask yourself, what is going to serve my highest good? And make that decision before December 21st, 2020. Right? Because if you're on the fence, December 21st, 2020, you're scattering yourself. You're saturating yourself. You're not allowing, you're not trusting, you're not bringing that in because you're playing the game. Like I said, you can play the game. You can play both sides, but you have to converge that polarity. And sometimes you can't have it both ways, right? You can't divorce your husband and be with him, right? You just can't. So I encourage all of you, and the GFL encourages all of you, to make a decision on what you want at a very 3D, rudimentary, human, physical reality level before December 21st. Then on top of that, what I recommend is on that day, during that whole week of December 21st, 2020, I recommend that you have more conscious awareness. You set intentions every day. This is going to be a huge portal that's opening. What is a portal? What is a vortex? All it is an amplification system, a technology that amplifies your intention. If you're not intentional around that time, you're going to continue to create an unintentional reality. If you're intentional about what you want, that's going to come back to you tenfold. Utilize this portal for good. Therefore, all of the people who are stuck in 3D, who are fear-based, who are chaotic, who don't have discernment or awareness, all of that is going to be manifested tenfold during the December 21st, 2020 portal. Then we're going to move into 2021. We're going to start manifesting everything that we projected into that portal December 21st. And everyone, whether you're conscious of the portal or not, you're going to be amplifying your vibration during that time into 2021. So all of the unconscious people are going to be projecting and amplifying whatever it was that their mindset was in an unconscious way into 2021. They are going to be confronted. They are going to be forced to see themselves for who they are. They're going to be forced to have that ego death. Okay, let's move on. It's a good question, though. Okay, so Angelsoul and Angel Source. I'm gonna, hopefully that's how you pronounce your name. Okay, so Ruth Bader Ginsburg moment. I have drawn conclusions as a mother who chose an abortion in my first pregnancy that there are soul agreements already worked out to have an abortion, mother soul and child soul. However, you said that we can change timelines. So is it possible that there was an agreement to give birth and then the mother changes her mind last minute as a human with free will, and then the child's soul didn't expect it? Is the child's soul deeply disappointed or understands because they aren't human yet? Great question. So I'll give you my perspective of abortion. And even when I told my wife that this is one of the topics for today, she's like, ooh. And for me, it's not that way. Maybe it was years ago, but I have dealt with this and channeled this many, many times over with many of my clients. And it might be a soft topic for some of you. But first of all, I don't really believe in death, right? So that just kind of wipes it off the table. But I also hold that space of compassion for the mother and for the child. Here's my overall opinion of abortion. Yes, there are predestined contracts that mother and that child have in that moment. Even if that mother was supposed to have that child and chooses a different pathway, that soul of that child is a beautiful, enlightened, high vibrational being that understands and has compassion over the mother. And say, for example, if that mother chooses to have another child later on in her life, that same soul of that first abortion child will come through again and incarnate. If that mother does not choose to have another child in that lifetime, then that soul will be a spirit guide for that mother, and eventually they're going to have to play out their mother-child karmic contracts in another lifetime. And that's it. Could be an interdimensional lifetime, could be a human lifetime, could be a plant lifetime, could be an animal lifetime, right? So yeah, so ultimately, same thing with vaccines, same thing with abortions. It always comes down to the freedom of choice. Once that's taken away from us, what we can and cannot do with our body, and what some of these, not so abortion clinics are doing and guilting and shaming the mother, even if it was a rape victim, even if it was a child, who's pregnant, it's pretty messed up what Christianity and what Catholicism and what religion does to guilt and shame and blame these poor people, these poor mothers, into having a child when they know that it's not the right timing for that, right? So ultimately, it's always up to the free will of that individual. And it should always be that way. And I'm just going to leave that conversation there, but hopefully that gives you some of that information. Okay, so we've got a question here. It feels like your name might be a bunch of button mashing, but I'm just going to spell it out. HGFFDD. I don't know if that's a real name. Okay. Hi, EA. I'm very confused about the moon. I thought the moon was a sacred, divine feminine planet which served Earth for the greater good. But is it even a planet? Is it programmed and corrupted like every other system on Earth? Thanks, EA. Really appreciate all your valuable information. Okay, so no, the moon is not a planet whatsoever. No, absolutely not. It's made out of metal. It's hollow on the inside. It doesn't rotate. Like, oh my God. When I found out that the moon doesn't rotate and that no one talks about it, I was like mind blown, baffled. I'm like, that's interesting, because I thought the laws of physics and the laws of gravity actually rotate heavy mass objects, hanging out in the universe. But maybe not, maybe I'm just totally wrong about that. So anyway, it's so mind-blowing what a big freaking cover-up the moon is. And the fact that we haven't been back to the moon in all this time is very peculiar. Yeah, so, okay, so I know that you're feeling disheartened, that you thought that the moon was this beautiful, divine, feminine, sacred energy, and it is, okay? I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The moon was originally a corrupted satellite connecting to, I believe, Saturn, and trapping planet Earth into this low vibrational frequency. Eventually, the moon was taken back over by the Galactic Federation. I don't know how long ago, probably thousands of years ago. It was taken over by the Galactic Federation, potentially even hundreds of years ago. Once again, not sure. But now the moon is radiating this vibration that allows us to ascend. It's kind of like we have our own little portal every month, which is the full moon. I also want to mention too that we need to realize that, because you mentioned, is it programmed and corrupted? I believe in simulation theory. And we're not going to get into it too much because it's a big concept, but I do have many videos out there about simulation theory. Okay, so ultimately, I believe everything in this reality is a simulation. I believe everything in the 5th dimension, the 6th dimension, the 8th dimension is a simulation, right? I mean, every layer of this universe, I believe, is a simulation in its own right. Oddly enough, I know it's kind of weird and mind-blowing. And because I believe, take it or leave it, guys, but because I believe that we're in this giant computer game, okay, this giant system, everything is programmable. We are living in a simulation, and every aspect of the simulation is programmable. So what are you going to be? Are you going to be the character in the video game? Are you going to be the player playing the character in the video game? Or are you going to be the programmer of the video game? If we understand that this is all a simulation and it's all programmable, then we need to ultimately ask ourselves, who is the programmer? Of course, it's Source. Who are we then? If Source is the programmer of this simulated matrix reality and all of the different densities and dimensions, then who are we? We aren't just the player. We aren't just the character. We are a part of Source. Therefore, we are the programmer. That's what the awakening is all about, is to wake up to understand you as the sole programmer of your reality. Mic drop, walk away, bye-bye. Great question, though. Great. I love it. All right. Okay, cool. So let's see, just a couple more questions. Okay, so from Chloe Gomez, do you have any information or advice you can share on the topic of what will or may occur during the ascension process for those who are still holding strong in the 3D? Like say you have a partner or family that definitely are not fully aimed for this path and are not really doing the work. Okay, perfect. So I just want to mention, I know a lot of you have a lot of fear or scarcity or concern around around individuals who are holding on to the 3D reality. Now, I will tell all of you that when I first stepped into, oh my goodness, we're ascending and we're moving into this new vibration, and the people who are not in the vibration are not coming with us, all the way back in 2010, 2011, 2012, I was so scared. I was so freaking scared for my family members and my friends. Nowadays, since I have not ascended, still work in progress over here, but since I have been doing the work, all of my friends and family have pleasantly surprised me, and they're all on the path as well. Even though my dad is still stubborn and divine masculine and just definitely in that generation, he's working on it, you know? So I want to say that there's no fear. There should never be any fear around that. I don't see a huge purging of the planet. I know a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, 50% of the population are not going to make it. I don't believe that that's the case. I am way too optimistic to believe that that's going to be the case. Ultimately, I believe that the majority of people in your life are going to ascend to 5D. It's kind of mind-blowing to say it, but I've experienced it. I've experienced people who for sure would never believe, who called me crazy at one point, who are now turning back around saying, wow, I think you were really onto something, which makes me kind of smile and giggle. But yeah, so all you need The only factor that you need to hop into 5D from 3D is the ability to change. Now, who are some of the most fluid and interchanging beings on this planet? Animals and children. Why are they so fluid? Why are they so easy and effortless to change? Because they do not hold an attachment to what they want. They don't hold an attachment to expectation. So they're just willing. They're just willing to open up and change. Okay, now we're doing this. Cool. Oh, okay, now we're eating this. Okay, cool. You as a parent to starseed children need to help your children by allowing them to get out of a routine. Interesting, isn't it? What's happening during COVID? What's happening during coronavirus? What's happening during quarantine? We're all being forced to change, right? And what did I say is the number one factor that moves us into 5D? That's right, it's change. So those people, especially those like super stubborn businessmen who are like, I just want things to be back to normal. When is this going to end? There is no normal. We are never going back to the way that things were. All right? And it's going to take an ego death and an ego death and another ego death and potentially the loss of all of their money and all of their job and all of their status and all of their, attachments and all of their labels to finally be like, oh, none of that matters. And here I am. And I love myself. And I'm willing to change. I believe that the majority of the people who you perceive as being stuck in 3D are going to be changing. And newsflash, we are not just popping into 5D for the whole planet on December 21st, 2020. It's going to be a process. And I believe that we still have another 3 years of this, all right? There's a lot that can happen in a weekend, let alone in 3 years, all right? So the more fear and worry you have surrounding your loved ones and their inability to change and to see a different perspective, the more you're feeding their inability to change and see a different perspective. The more you appreciate the little changes and the little aha moments that they're going through, the more you support them in their change, okay? You don't have to understand what energy is to be 5D. You don't have to be a Reiki practitioner to be 5D. You don't have to believe in aliens to be 5D. You don't. You just have to be willing to change. And I'm going to leave it there. I do have a couple more questions that were really good, but I've got to run off and I've got a full packed day on my beautiful Sunday. I love you all so much. Thank you, members, for the amazing chat that we always have right before the live video. If you want to chat with me, hop into the live chat about half an hour. Typically, I have time in the morning before this video. And then other than that, make sure, guys, you subscribe to this channel, hit the thumbs up button, and also just released the new tickets for the new Galactic Federation channel that's going to be happening on October 11th, coming right up. So yeah, so keep that in mind. If you want to join me live for this live event, it's going to be there for you. And then the recording is going to be available after as well. And then you also only have a couple days left to purchase the recording for the last Galactic Federation live event, which was freaking mind-blowing. It was so good. Love you all so much. Keep up the good work. I know that we're all transitioning and awakening and activating and it's been really wild and really heavy and just a lot of stuff. So hang in there. Make sure you're giving extra self-love to you and make sure that you're just not living life through obligation and you're always saying yes to you as the sole source of vibration and the creator of your reality. I love you all so much. I will see you tomorrow. Oh yeah, tomorrow, epic video on the hybrid children. if you want to know everything there is to know about the hybrid children, the new generation, interdimensional beings coming to this planet, cosmic awakening, cosmic disclosure, check it out. 2:55, 5:55, happening tomorrow live. And you'll see already I've posted the live link. See you then. Bye for now.